Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Active Archive Alliance virtual conference entitled Why AI Needs Active Archive. I'm Rich Gadomski with Fujifilm Data Storage Solutions and co-chairperson of the Active Archive Alliance. Let me introduce our other co-chairperson and my better half, Dr. Kel Pultz with Metaquant. Welcome, Kel.
Thanks, Rich, and good morning to our attendees, speakers, and guest speaker and moderator for today, Philippe Nicolas from Coldago Research. I'm really excited about today's subject, why AI needs Active Archive. I think most of us read about the AI frenzy and the investments being made in high-performance computing, talent acquisition, model development, but there's not a lot about data management.
That's right, Kel. AI requires massive amounts of data that won't be deleted probably for decades. So let's jump into the agenda.
And get started?
Yep, sorry. We will have 3 sessions today. The big picture, practical implementations, and looking ahead. Each of our Active Archive Alliance members will have up to 5 minutes to present a brief presentation, and then that'll be followed by Q&A to be led by our moderator today, Philippe Nicolas. Kel, would you like to introduce Philippe?
My pleasure, Rich. It's great to have Philippe Nicolas with us today. Philippe is a founder and lead analyst at Coldago Research. He's recognized in the data storage industry as an expert, observer, and analyst with over 30 years of experience. He's also the creator of the IT Press Tour and owner of the podcast, the French Storage Podcast, and he's also well known for his work with Storage Newsletter. Thank you very much for joining us today, Philippe.
Hello, Kel and Rich. It's a real honor for me to be with you today, presenting some recent elements I learned from the market and also sharing some opinions. And you will see some synergies with what Active Archive Alliance has been doing for several years now. Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks very much, Philippe. So Philippe is actually our first speaker today. He'll give us a brief presentation about some market views and his opinions that he recently collected regarding storage, artificial intelligence, and Active Archive in particular. And Philippe will help set the stage for the rest of our speakers. Philippe will then be our moderator, introducing each speaker and facilitating Q&A. For attendees in our audience today, feel free to use the Q&A function for any questions you may have. And Philippe, you now have the floor.
Hello again, everyone. The title of my presentation is related to the connection of AI and Active Archive. And it's interesting to see that the Active Archive Alliance organizes its annual virtual conference the same week as the NVIDIA GTC. Next slide, please. And to support my talk, I prepare this agenda with first an interesting end-user survey result, then some considerations between AI storage and Active Archive in particular. Next, please. No surprise here, you recognize many terms. Our industry is very dynamic for decades with different waves of technologies and innovations. You recognize here several various terms, acronyms that illustrate some market trends, challenges, and of course, solutions. A few months ago, realizing that we live a key moment in our life in IT, but not only in IT, illustrated by different waves. Some of them could be considered as a tsunami, probably. I thought that it would be good to turn back and watch what the industry has produced in the first 25 years of the century. I then started to ask people around me during conferences, meetings, about their perception And it was the start of a very interesting exercise. With the significant end-user base I have for many years, I tune it and finally ask two questions. What are your top 3 IT technologies and innovations since 2000 that positively impact data storage? Or another way to formulate or to say that, what are your top 3 data storage technologies and innovations since the beginning of the century, since 2000? As said, we share in January and February the simple survey to approximately 1,500 users. You have the right number on the slide. And by users, I mean distinct companies. Approximately 70% comes from the US, and the rest from Europe, I mean France, Germany, and UK. First animation. First position is media, as 82% of users choose this topic, and we'll see what is behind in the next one. Second is access, and third, operating system or environment. And as an open question, we list here position number 4, 5, and 6. Next, please. No surprise, media means flash and all associated elements. Flash really had and continues to have a very important impact with IOPS, throughput, and latency benefit it delivers. We all know that. Different interfaces also have been released, and NVMe and its network companion really push the domain. We also saw a few vendors announcing 120 terabyte plus SSD. All this invited vendors to introduce new architecture, and we heard about any-to-any, shared everything, or disaggregated model. Second is HTTP, S3, and the associated API approach. What we discovered with Amazon in 2006, or let's say 2006, sorry, is a programmable data center, cloud computing, and storage. I remember the time when APIs belonged to vendors programmed for their ecosystem and offered with a fee. Internet giants broke this, and today APIs are open and everywhere, boosting the economy. And HTTP became a storage protocol. It broke the distance, and remote storage became local and ubiquitous. And we have to admit that today we speak about S3 storage and not really about object storage. S3 exists on top of everything. A good example of that is S3 to tape. Third is operating environment with hypervisors and Linux. Remember that vendors develop applications on top of Windows or Unix, and it was very costly to access source code. Linux has changed this world with the open source approach, and then system services appeared, appliances, but also hypervisors, VMs, more recently containers, Kubernetes, and confirm an end-user desire about the cloud operating model. Next. AI is everywhere, no surprise here. Every end user has a project, every vendor has an AI-based or oriented product. New companies have been launched on this, and VC understood this new El Dorado with massive investments at stellar valuations. AI needs data, and storage is about storing, protecting, and serving data. AI is connected to data essentially in two phases: on their workflow or processing, during training and inferences phases, with different constraints and requirements. I wish to insist on the potential danger AI can represent, especially for public AI engines, when users submit and ingest personal, enterprise, corporate, or just confidential data. Yeah. Based on these different technologies, development, and progress, it makes current AI possible. It wouldn't have been possible so easily at that pace without, of course, processors and accelerators progress, with GPU, of course, flash and NVMe, fast networks, and access methods. And we live in this world with perception AI, generative AI, agentic AI, and coming soon, physical AI, as Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, said yesterday during his keynote. Two key dimensions exist for storage and data management. Storage for AI, what is known as AI storage, and AI for or in storage. And each time I mention storage, of course, it's storage and data management. First, AI storage. It is essentially storage dedicated, developed, and optimized for training phases. And we see here parallel file system and full flash S3 storage product with new design. For inference, requirements are relaxed, and we see more classic solutions exposing data via NAS, S3, and S3 to tape access methods. Second, AI for or in storage and data management. Here it is more about how vendors had include, integrate, improve, enhance their solution with some AI engines to deliver new level of services. We see example of that around data management solutions, storage array, and of course some vertical flavors. It is all about how AI can access and leverage the goldmine of archive data as secondary storage represents a vast majority of the data volume. We know that for multiple decades. What is needed here, and it is paramount to be connected and included with the AI engines, it is S3 again with its S3 to tape flavor. We can even say that this is, or it is, a killer app for tape and optical storage, globally secondary storage. And before I conclude, what I see on the market is a move to consolidation of usages via physical or logical data storage platform connected to multiple various backend storage, local or remote, exposing multiple interfaces, making the glue between production tier or primary storage and protection tier or secondary storage. And I wish to conclude on the three keywords I highlight to summarize my talk. S3 is definitively the enabler and key element to connect AI with secondary storage, and in particular, active archive. Thank you again for your attention.